G'day all, it's Colin from PCTLC and thanks for joining me. In this video we're going to be looking at a distro called Spiral Linux. Spiral Linux is a new entrant into the world of desktop focused Linux distributions. It's based on Debian Linux and created by an unnamed developer of Gecko Linux. Now Gecko Linux is a derivative of OpenSUSE and focuses on providing out-of-the-box usability to desktop users. So this is the plan for this unnamed developer from Gecko Linux, is to provide the same out-of-the-box usable Debian experience to desktop users. Now the question here is Debian really that complex? Once it's running, not really, but trying to navigate the Debian website can be pretty confusing to say the least. But it is considered the most stable distro, and it says here the vanilla Debian often overwhelms new users with multiple download options. The focus on FOSS-only software by default policy also makes things difficult for beginners. It also requires various tweaks after the first boot to make it useful. So these are the areas where Spiral Linux shines. So I have shown this on videos before, and I'll show it again now that I'm creating a video on a Debian-based distro. Go to my website here. I have a Debian tab up the top here. So if we click on that, and this gives you a little bit of information here as to what these are and where to download them from. So these are all the download links here, as you can see, and some of these are telling you selecting, this is what you're selecting when you're installing. So a little bit of information there I've left on my web page there, and this link here will take you directly to the Debian website. So I thought I'd try and make this web page here to make it a little bit easier for people. Today we're looking at Spiral Linux, so we'll check that out. This is the Spiral Linux web page. It's a selection of Linux spins built from Debian GNU Linux with a focus on simplicity and an out-of-the-box usability across all the major desktop environments. So Spiral Linux serves as an alternative live installation method for a highly reliable customized Debian system using only official Debian package repositories. So these are the features, quite a fair bit of features there. Let's just check out some of these features. Has an installable live DVD USB images around 2 GB in size and carefully configured for a wide array of popular desktop environments. Built from Debian stable packages with newer hardware support pre-installed from Debian Backports. So you do get newer hardware from Backports, that's handy. Easily upgradable to Debian's testing or unstable branches with just a few clicks. Instructions are here, and that's all to do with things that you can do within Synaptic Package Manager. Let's have a quick look at the instructions here. And as you'll see in the Synaptic settings, so this is all done within the Synaptic Package Manager. So I'll leave these links in the description below so you can check that out. It has optimal ButterFS subvolume layout with ZSTD, transparent compression and automatic snapper snapshots, bootable via Grub for easy rollbacks. And you got some instructions there as well. A graphical manager for Flatpak packages and pre-configured Flatpak theming. Font rendering and color theming pre-configured for optimal legibility. Pre-installed proprietary media codecs and non-free Debian package repositories ready to use. Broad hardware support with a wide array of proprietary firmware pre-installed. Extensive printer support with relaxed permissions for printer administration. Optimal power management with TLP pre-installed. VirtualBox support available out of the box. Enables ZRAM swap by default for better performance on low-end hardware. Normal users can operate and administer the system without recurring to the terminal. And depends entirely on the Debian infrastructure, thus avoiding the developer hit by a bus concern. So that's an important one as well. installed system can be smoothly upgraded to future Debian releases while retaining its unique Spiral Linux configuration. So what that means is, again, with the Synaptic Package Manager, once you get to a newer Debian release, you can manipulate the Synaptic Package Manager in a way that you can upgrade from the current Debian 11 to the next Debian 12 major release. Now, just getting back to this one here, this is something that Kent from The Real Geek, who's now just recently changed his name to Kent's Hardware or something, I cannot remember what it's called. Let's just check out his website quickly. There we go, TRG, Kent's Tech World. So he's changed his name. Why can you trust, this was the video I'm referring to. Why can you trust one-man distros, this one here. So he talks about how people say that the one-man distros are not good because they get hit by a bus, no one's looking after it. But what he was talking about and discussing in this video was something like what Spiral Linux is saying here, which is it depends entirely on the Debian infrastructure. So this person has made a distro for you to use to install with all the support out of the box with drivers and firmware and drivers for your wireless if you don't have Ethernet, drivers for the firmware that might be difficult like Broadcom and things like that. So they're going to give you all that out of the box. But if this developer was to get hit by a bus, it doesn't matter because you're using Debian. It's entirely supported by Debian, the same as Endeavour installs Arch Linux. You're now running Arch Linux. They may have some tools and everything to use, but you're still running Arch Linux. And it's the same with Esnix. He makes all these tools and provides all these tools and also ISOs that you can just install and you get what he provides. But once you install it, his Easy Archer, basically, he does a Debian one, Esnix OS, I think it is, and then he does his Easy Archer one. So it's the same rule applies with these ones. You use his Easy Archer and you make your own ISO, which I've done. You basically run it. This is what I'm running now. I'm running Arch from Esnix. And you can tell by, if I go to here, I'll have the Esnix shortcut, Easy Archer shortcut here, with some of the Easy Archer docs, guides, package builds, and scripts. So you can tell that's an Easy Archer distro. And he provided the tools for me to be able to make this ISO up and install it. But I'm basically running Arch. So if Esnix was I think that's what Kent was saying, is if Esnix decided he wanted to go on holidays and bugger doing that type of stuff, and I don't want to do it anymore, you can still just continue to run Arch, and that's it. It doesn't matter whether Esnix is there or not. That's exactly what this means here. That's very true because it's based on Debian. So it says here, why another Debian distro or another Debian-based distro? Debian does an excellent job of providing the fundamentals needed for a highly reliable and flexible operating system. However, it is a sprawling and impersonal organization that does not focus on being friendly for the end user. So a plethora of Debian-based distributions have arisen with the objective of adding a layer of polish, albeit with varying degrees of success. Most of these efforts depend on a single developer or a small group of developers with far fewer resources than the official Debian project. Many such projects create custom packages and supplemental package repositories that will cease to exist and leave their users stranded in the event that the project ever ceases to function. Spiral Linux, on the other hand, has been carefully designed to be completely dependent on the extensive development resources and excellent package infrastructure of the upstream Debian project. So that all ties in with what I'm talking about there with Kent's video and some of these other Debian, some of these other distros based on main Linux distributions. So what we have here is downloading Spiral Linux. Now I've downloaded the Cinnamon build. There are some other builds here. XFCE, GNOME, Plasma, Mate, Budgie, LXQT. And then you got the Spiral Linux Builder, where it can pretty much start you from scratch and you can build it and make it your own. That's for experienced users. The question is, who are you? So they're asking, who is this guy here? I've used Linux on the desktop since approximately 2001, with Debian-based distributions playing a key role in that experience. I've always appreciated Debian's extreme flexibility, reliability, speed, and excellent core infrastructure. But for desktop usage, Debian's lack of polish and geeky nature always led me to avoid it for myself and others that I support. This project sets out to change that, and I'm also the creator and maintainer of the Gecko Linux set of spins built from OpenSUSE. So that's who that is. And he gives special thanks to these organizations down here. You got some documentation here, which if you're on Windows or Linux, and how to write the ISO to USB, updating and upgrading Spiral Linux. So it's got all the information there. So I'll leave the links in the show notes. You've got a tab for bugs, forum, and news. So let's fire up a VirtualBox and have a look at Spiral Linux. So we have live system here. So let's enter the live system. Now the ISO I've downloaded is Spiral Linux Cinnamon 6 of the 6th 2022. So this is it here. So let's go to the settings and sort out the screen resolution if we can. And we have install Spiral Linux. So let's do that. Welcome to the Calamares installer for Spiral Linux Cinnamon. And it's actually got the build number there. Now I don't know if there's another build number, but I did download this quite a while ago, but I'm pretty sure it'll be the same. About Calamares 3.2.56. Let's go next. Australia Perth, next. English Australian. Let's just do an erase disk. Do I want swap? No, I won't worry about swap at the moment. Let's go swap the file. Let's do that. And it's going to give me the option of Btrfs. You have got the options of XFS, F2FS. Don't know about that one. Never heard of that one before. ext4. So we'll go with the defaults. Go next. So it looks like I've got no keyboard. Lately, keyboard problems have been with VirtualBox with this little... Yeah, let's just close that down. Keyboard has been a problem with this little toolbox here. Mini toolbar. So if I turn that off, it probably should work. So there we have keyboard. All I did was turn off the mini toolbar. That's been an issue for a little while in VirtualBox now. Okay, so name can be anything you like. Username has to be lowercase. Put the same name always in VirtualBox, just so it doesn't create other names on my home network. And a password. Next. And then we get a summary of what's going to happen there, and we'll click install, and off we go. And that is the install complete. We will restart now and jump into the freshly installed environment. Let's do that. Debian Spiral Linux Cinnamon. It's the login screen, put in our password. And here we are in the freshly installed desktop of Spiral Linux. Now, I don't know if we can be expecting too much from this desktop besides being a Debian install. If we quickly check, so what have they used for themes? They haven't really themed. I thought they said they were theming it. Maybe I read that wrong. Are they using a Numix theme here? Fienza Dark icons, and nothing really going for the desktop, just Cinnamon, standard Cinnamon. Okay. So if we go to, let's see, file system, etc, apt, and the sources.list. Let's check that out. Officially supported main, compatible software with non-free dependencies, contrib, and non-free. So they've got all that enabled. Other software, Debian Bullseye Backports, Bullseye Fast Track for VirtualBox, Bullseye Fast Track Staging. So there we have the software sources there, and no doubt they would have Synaptic installed. There's Synaptic Package Manager there, which we need to apply our password to open. Close that. And there we have Synaptic. So what do we get out of the box on this install here? We get GNOME disks, firmware, install firmware on devices. Let's just check that out real quick. And it shouldn't find anything because we are on a virtual box, but this would be interesting to try on real hardware. So we'll let the firmware run for a little bit. They've got a shortcut for Expo. So if you've got a few things open here, you can open Expo. It'll show you all the workspaces currently available, and you can add some more here if you wish. You can rename your workspaces. So firmware, still looking through firmware there, but not sure how long that's going to take. Got a menu editor, Parcelite Lightweight GTK Clipboard Manager, Screenshot, Text Editor, which is normal, and Virtual Keyboard. Graphics, we have Document Scanner, Document Viewer, Drawing, Image Viewer, LibreOffice Draw, and Shotwell. Internet, Firefox ESR, Pigeon Messenger, Thunderbird, and Transmission. And under Office, we have some HP stuff there. LibreOffice Calc, Draw, Impress, and Writer. So probably a full Office suite there. We have Snapper GUI via root. Sound and video, we have Clementine Music Player, Pulse Audio Volume Control, Sound Recorder, and VLC Media Player. And administration should be mostly, I would think, Cinnamon tools, software, Light DM GTK Greeter Settings, HTOP, Grub Customizer, Gparted, GNOME Software as root, GDebi Package Installer. Preferences will be mainly Cinnamon tools under the Cinnamon settings. You got Places, which is a quick link to your home folders mainly. Desktop. Connect to, that would be connect to a server. So I could connect to my home network USB on my modem if I wanted to using FTP, and I would do that using public FTP, and I would put the server address in here, which would be a 192.168 blah blah blah. Let's have a quick look at software. Welcome to software. Let's go shopping. This firmware hasn't done anything, probably because I'm on VirtualBox. We'll close that. It's getting the Flatpak metadata, and like they said, there was Flatpak out of the box on here, so no need to worry about Flatpak installation. And while that Flatpak metadata is downloading, I will check out what version of Office we are running here. Help and about 7.0.4. I'm not quite sure what the latest is. If I have a look at my main system here and see what I'm running in here. This is my main system. This is Arch. So about LibreOffice 7.3.4. So that's 7.0.4. That's still pretty good for Debian base. Still a little bit behind. There we go. We've got some updates. So obviously we do the updates in the Software Center here. Let's just do a quick search for Cherry Tree, which is my main go-to one there. Now there's two of them there. So what's this one? This one is, it should tell us, Debian stable main, 0.99.3. And the other one, it's probably Flatpak, I would say, from the FlatHub, 0.99.48. And the Flatpak will always be probably ahead of anything under Debian. Let's just do Audacity. I always do that one as well. Only one Audacity there. Oh yeah, you got the source here. FlatHub and Debian GNU Linux. I keep forgetting that shows up after you do your search. Although the Cherry Tree one does not come up with that there. So I thought I was going mad, but I'm not. That's interesting. And let's try GIMP. Let's see what GIMP's got to offer. And we've got one GIMP here, but we've got FlatHub. So yes, we've got the Debian there and also the FlatHub as well. And we've got some updates. Update for Cavantum theme engine as well. Let's just update all. So I've updated those ones, but looks like we also need to download these ones. So let's do that as well. It says here it requires a restart. And we click on restart and update. Although it's doing another check. Yep, let's restart and update. Restart. And we have Spiral Linux snapshots here. Let's check that out. So we've got snapshot 1, probably because we just did an update. We can just head to the top selection here and just do a normal startup. So we are back into the desktop of Spiral Linux Cinnamon after an update. I think that's the only update tool we have, is it? Package updater, so we've got that. All packages are up to date, so we could have used that one. You got that and the software center, Gnome Software as root, software and update software properties, which is the software and updates there. That's the software sources. So I was just looking at the Spiral Linux website here, and they do have Debian stable packages with newer hardware support pre-installed from Debian Backports. Doesn't say anything on there. You've got the documentation here, which is this page here. Nothing saying that you can update packages or applications through the Backports, which I'd have to think that LibreOffice would have a more up-to-date version through Backports in Synaptic Package Manager. Just want to check that out. Let's do a search for LibreOffice. We'll have to scroll down for that. So there's LibreOffice there, base core. I thought it would be just this one here. So they haven't installed it with the straight out LibreOffice suite. Looks like they may have done them all independently. But if we was to right click on that and go to properties, and we've got all these different tabs here. So if we go to versions, you've got Bullseye Backports there, 7.3.5. So to do that, you would go to package force version, which is here, and they're talking about this one here in force version. You could go package force version, so select the version you want. So you could select Bullseye Backports. You could do that, and you could update it to the latest LibreOffice. That's just one way of doing it. I don't know why the straight out LibreOffice meta package hasn't been used to install that, because then that would update everything. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. That's how you can upgrade packages in Synaptic. Let's have a look at anything else that's installed in here. Let's have a look at Shotwell and see what version that is. Shotwell 0.3.11. Shotwell, so that's click on that, left click, and then left click package, and there's no force version, so there's no other updated package for that one. About image viewer 3.38.2, image viewer. I'd have to think it's Eye of Gnome, which is that one there. If we go to package, no force version for that one either. Image viewer is Eye of Gnome. So it looks like you have got the option to upgrade LibreOffice through Backports, but the version they're on, 7.0.4, is probably good enough for most uses for LibreOffice anyway. As you can see, it's pretty much a stock version of Debian. So that was a look around Spiral Linux. As you can see, it's very close to being just a straight out Debian install out of the box. Besides the fact that you've got these Spiral Linux features, you got newer hardware support from Debian Backports. You've got the upgrade to Debian testing or unstable if you wish. So I was just checking out the Spiral Linux documentation here, which is this web page here, their documentation, Spiral Linux project wiki, and they show you how to upgrade your system within Synaptic if that's what you wish to do. It says to go into Synaptic, click reload the package list, and then mark all upgrades and click apply. We can show you that in here real quick. That's the way you want to do it. You can upgrade through the software center, so that's not a problem. which we've already done, but you would hit the reload button, which would be the same in Ubuntu doing sudo apt update. It just refreshes your repos to make sure nothing's changed. If something's changed, it will pick that up, and then you can mark all upgrades, and then if there was anything to apply, that would be lit up and you would click apply. So that's how that works. The other thing they also have is upgrading to a major new Debian stable release. So what you would do here is in the Synaptic settings, repositories interface, disable all of the repositories in the Debian software tab. So you go to settings and repositories like so, and then you would disable all of these like so. I'm not going to do that. And in the other tab, other software tab, you would disable all these repositories like it says here, and then you would click on Debian stable for upgrades, and then you would click on mark all upgrades. And after that, you would go back into updates, check these back on, you would first, after you do your upgrades, go back to Debian software. You've upgraded it, so you would check all these repos back on, plus the updates here, check them back on. And then you would go to other software, and then you would change Bullseye to Bookworm. I think that's correct. So Bookworm is the next release of Debian after Debian 11. So you would change that from Bullseye to Bookworm. Then it would automatically pick up that Backport repository, reload itself, and then you're done. Then you can do switching from Debian stable to testing or unstable branch. You can check that out yourself. Just wanted to show the main upgrade feature, which means they've so you can reload. I'll cancel that. So that's Spiral Linux. As you can see, it's pretty much a Debian install out of the box. There's not a lot of bling to it at all. It's pretty standard. They've got the Numix theme there and another icon theme, but pretty much they've got it there so you can make it your own. You can put your own themes in there and so forth. But what they have done is made newer hardware available for you with the backports. They've also given you Flatpak out of the box, so you don't have to worry about Flatpak itself. If we have a look here, there's not a lot of Spiral Linux advertising or anything like that in here. I don't think there's any, to be honest. And you have got this additional drivers and the firmware. So that's under accessories, firmware, and also additional drivers, which you don't see very often in a Debian base. I don't know how that would go with NVIDIA on my Optimus. That would be interesting to try. I might try that before I upload this video and maybe give some results, see how it goes. And then you got the snapshots. As we've seen, after an update, we had a snapshot already available on startup under the grub screen. And they've got a really nice looking grub screen as well. Hardware support as well. Under the proprietary, they've got broad hardware support. So I've been through all this. Just running back through it again at the end of this video, just so you know, if you were expecting a lot of bling and all these useful tools and everything, it's not really that. It's just making a lot of things in the background a lot easier for newer users. So it's already there for you, especially the graphical manager for Flatpak, which is the software center. It's already been pre-configured, so people can search through the software center and find what they need with Flatpak already there enabled to give them a lot more options of applications to install. So normal users can operate and administrate the system without recurring to the terminal. You have got the Synaptic Package Manager. Now that is the in-between application from a GUI and a terminal. It's a GUI, but it's a little bit more technical GUI, but you're still using a graphical interface to do things with. And they've got the documentation here to help you along with that, as we've seen. And also if you want to upgrade to testing or unstable branches, they show you how to do that as well. And also they've got the pre-installed proprietary media codecs. And non-free Debian package repositories ready to use. So that would be another one I'm interested to see probably if I install this on my Toshiba satellite laptop that's got the DVD player, which I've shown many times on videos in the past, just to check whether videos do work on it, and also whether it picks up the very difficult Optimus NVIDIA driver. That would be interesting as well. So I might give some results on that before I finish this video up. And as they say here, Spiral Linux, Linux faster than a snail. There you go, it's faster than a snail. So I think newer users in this case get the best of both worlds here. They get a lot of things out of the box in the background, and also they get to learn a little bit how Debian works. Keeps the skill level up for new users, or will progress their skill level as they go, and that might pique their interest and they can go looking at, oh, I wonder how that works in the terminal. You never know. It happened to me. It's happened to a lot of other people I know. So I think it's a very worthwhile distro, this one, if you're looking at going Debian. And there's quite a few desktop environments on offer, as you can see there. So at this point, I put a DVD in the DVD player. Let's just fast forward a bit. Hasn't shown up yet. There it is there. It's shown up. Collateral damage. It's the one that's the disk I normally use to test out DVD playback. And I went to VLC Media Player, Open Disk. It's the dev SR0 is the standard location, or the default location for VLC, and it's not working. So I thought I'd install the libdvd CSS2, put in my password, continue that. Most of the time that gets DVD playback working. And you've got to answer a question there, yes, and that one, yes. No problem. And I think it was at this point I did a reboot, I believe, or at the end of the video. So after a reboot, tried to play DVD again, open disk, and unfortunately it still didn't work. So I tried installing Lame, which is another codec you need to have. That was already installed, Lame was. So what I did here was, normally under Debian, my go-to codecs, the libdvd CSS2. This is for Debian codecs. And then there's these two here you can install. Actually, I think those two don't install anymore. But I installed this one here, this one here. I tried Lame, that was already installed. And then I installed these ones here. And also FFmpeg, which I think was already installed. We can check that out. So FFmpeg, it's already the newest version, so that was already installed, that's fine. And then I tried the GStreamer stuff. I forgot to do sudo apt install, didn't I? Got carried away with just typing those in. So there it is there, sudo apt install the GStreamer stuff. I think there was an error at the end of this. And there it is. libdvd-pkg is an issue. I think there might be a problem with libdvd CSS or libdvd-pkg. I think the -pkg is on Ubuntu, I thought. It could also be on Debian now, but I tried that and it didn't work. This one here. So I tried that. -pkg. And that one there is already the newest version. Okay, so that was already installed. Unfortunately, if we go to my next video, because I think that's all I did there, and I would have done a reboot. So this was after a reboot, and unfortunately it still didn't work. So it's very unusual that I don't get DVD playback working in Debian, because normally up until Debian 10, normally it's not a problem. Install these few things, it's not an issue. But in this case, I don't think it's a problem with Spiral Linux as far as I know. I'm pretty sure I did everything right. Things may have changed that I'm unaware of, I'm not sure. But definitely DVD playback is not working. So they definitely don't have all codecs installed. When it comes to that, they don't have that DVD playback. I think they had GStreamer, I think. They definitely had LAME and FFmpeg anyway. So they had the basic codecs, but not the full load of codecs. So while I was editing my video, I realized that there was a command that popped up in one of the questions when installing some of the codecs there, and there was a question for yes or no, I think it was, but on both boxes it did say that you need to run this command once installed. I'd forgotten about that. If we have a look at my cherry tree, sudo dpkg-reconfigure space libdvd-pkg, not here. So that's something I've missed out on. This codecs here is that command. So I need to add that so it reminds me what I need to do when installing codecs in Debian. It's a oversight on my part. So let's just see what happens here. We'll run this command, put in my password, and then it's asking you to confirm all of that. Please confirm whether you wish this to happen. So just click yes on that one, and away it goes. And that should be just about it. Yeah, there we go. The codecs installed. And then I didn't reboot. I just put the disk straight in. There's the disk popping up there. And then we will open a VLC media player. Go to the same location, open disk. It's got the correct location there. Click on play movie. Movie's playing, and also I can confirm that the sound was working. Sound was working, no problem. And that's pretty much it for DVD playback on Spiral Linux. So everything's working fine there. Most important thing here is, I think I've already mentioned anyway, was they had the baseline codecs installed, but not for DVD playback. I'll leave the necessary commands for DVD playback in the show notes below, just to help anybody that wants DVD playback. I wouldn't think it's as popular as what it used to be anyway. And that was a bit of an oversight on my part. I missed that one command there. And I thought I'd leave everything in anyway, showing how it's not working and so forth, so people can see what happens when you miss one command. So now we have a quick look at the firmware. Not much happening in the firmware side of things. You've got the SSD driver there, UEFI DBX. I don't know what that's all about. It's an internal device, and also the unifying receiver. You can show releases. They're all the Logitech stuff. So that's probably my wireless mouse. You can downgrade, gives you the option to downgrade. And on that one as well, and on that one it gives you the option to reinstall. So not really much under the firmware, to be honest. And then there was the additional drivers. Now the additional drivers is a proposed updates, bullseye proposed updates, only for testing updates and providing development feedback. Enabling this may introduce instability. So there's nothing to do with installing NVIDIA when it comes to that. If you want to install NVIDIA, good luck with that. It won't work with my Optus. I tried the 390, the 418, the 450, the 470. There seemed to be a problem back here with the NVIDIA driver there. That NVIDIA driver there seems to be an issue with NVIDIA driver as well in Debian. So I don't know what's going on with Debian with codecs for DVD playback and also the NVIDIA. Although I've never had much luck getting this Optimus working on the laptop. Your mileage may vary. If you have just a standard NVIDIA card on a desktop, you may have a lot better success with that. Optimus is always a problem. So I haven't had much luck in the way of DVD playback and NVIDIA. So although they've got codecs installed, it's not the whole lot of the codecs, but maybe for licensing reasons, they probably don't have libdvd CSS2 installed. So that was Spiral Linux. What did you think? I think it's not too bad a distro to get people started in Debian, definitely. My test on real hardware with the DVD playback and the NVIDIA, well, DVD playback normally is not too much of a chore to get going, but in this case, I'm not sure if there's issues in Debian or not. NVIDIA is always a problem to get going on this laptop. The only distros that get it going these days is Ubuntu base with a breeze. So that's what I thought the additional drivers was for. I thought maybe they might have had an application similar to Ubuntu, but it's not the case. But I always like to do those tests on a laptop, show people what the results are. So it gives people a real taste of what it's like on real hardware and what you can expect. If you've got a AMD CPU and possibly GPU cards, which I rarely use, you're probably not going to have any issues at all, I would say. Not that my experience is extended too much with AMD, but if you're on just an Intel-based CPU without any graphics cards, this should be an absolute breeze to get going anyway. So not many people are doing DVD playback anyway these days, but the results are there anyway. So if you've got a DVD player and you decide you're gonna try Spiral Linux, then I suppose there'll be no surprises if it's not working. I could have been doing something wrong. Something may have been changed in Debian that I'm unaware of, and there might be some more info out there that you can chase on an internet search to get DVD playback working. So anyway, Spiral Linux, plenty of desktop choices to download for Spiral Linux. It's got an easy Calamares installer, so no problem there. It's got minimal codecs as well as Flatpak support out of the box, so that's pretty handy. And they've got some reasonable documentation on their website, just in case you want to go from one major release to another, or you decide you want to go from stable to unstable or testing. The options are there on the website. So anyway, that was Spiral Linux. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it interesting and informative, and thanks for watching.